Okay, next, please. Okay, first of all, women, you must all be aware, all those young mothers, that pregnancy is a very important and a very serious aspect of one's life. It has its pleasures, it has its tribulations, etc. But we must realize that it is a very, very important part and entails so many changes. And the changes, it's not just that a baby is growing, which is a miracle in itself, that from two cells it begins to develop into a complete human being. And the baby and the mother, both, mind my words, the baby and the mother, both of them are undergoing not only physical changes, physiological changes, but also psychological changes. And why am I stressing this fact? Is that the temperament of the mother and the surrounding she is living in is also going to impact the psychological development of the baby. So apart from that, you people always concentrate on the diet and of course some on exercise, but quite often the psychological aspect is gets neglected. So at the outside, I would like to stress, though that would be a different lecture in itself, that the psychological development of a baby is also impacted by not only your diet but also your surroundings. Now, when the baby is developing, it goes through many changes, biochemical, physiological, hormonal changes, etc., in the mother. And these hormonal changes in the mother influence the way the diet that you are taking and the nutrients that you are taking, how they are going to be utilized. If certain levels are raised, then the diet absorption, etc., will be affected. So it is all a big interlinked system which comes into play when you are pregnant. Next slide, please. Now, what happens during pregnancy? There is increased in the basal metabolic rate. Everybody these days is talking about मेरा BMI इतना है, मेरा BMI इतना है, मेरा metabolic rate slow है, मेरा metabolic rate fast है. That's all right. But during pregnancy, just imagine that suddenly a factory has been, I mean, excuse my using the word factory, but something which is developing is inside your body, and therefore that is generating a lot of metabolic activity, produces a lot of toxins, etc. And you go through gastrointestinal changes, hormonal changes, and the body fluids. Some may have swelling of the feet, etc., some may not. And there is also the kidney function is altered. There is increased clearance because your body is now going to act as the kidney for the baby, performing the function for the baby as well. All the eliminations that have to occur from your body. So, pregnancy is a very, very profound and important part. Next slide, please. What people talk about कि मेरी pregnancy healthy कह रहे हैं. What do you understand by a healthy pregnancy? One which has no physical, psychological, or any other pathology in the mother or the baby. So both of them have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy outcome, and it results in the delivery of a healthy baby. Next slide, please. So key components of a healthy pregnancy would be, if you are related to the diet, we'll keep going, concentrate this topic to the diet. We will not touch upon the other topics any further. There should be an appropriate weight gain, consumption of a variety of foods, vitamin and mineral supplementation, and you must avoid alcohol, tobacco, and other harmful substances. And more important than all of this is also that the food handling should be safe. Otherwise, you may choose a very good diet, and if the handling is not bad and that gets contaminated, even within your own home, then of course the bad effects will be more pronounced than the good effects. You may next slide, please. So the nutrition during pregnancy is very important. Now let me go back a step, earlier. Nutrition is important not only during pregnancy, but this is because so that you can pass this message on to all your friends and relatives and act as brand ambassadors of a healthy woman and a healthy pregnancy. That is, that before you get pregnant, at least 3 4 months prior to that, you must get yourself checked up by a doctor, by a gynecologist, get some tests done so that any abnormality or anything that is picked up can be managed and treated before you get pregnant. And this should apply both to the mother and to the husband. because the semen quality will also get affected if there is a poor nutrition. So when you talk about nutrition, it is related not only to when you are pregnant, but it should actually start several months earlier. Start from a checkup with the doctor and then do all the tests that are required. During pregnancy, of course, why do you need a healthy diet? Because you have increased demands in the body, you need the energy, you have to prevent or minimize the common pregnancy related problems, you want to reduce the risk of birth defects. And if we are talking of birth defects, again, as I said, many of them can be avoided if you have met a doctor before, because there are certain infections which, if they occur during early pregnancy, for example, rubella, or in other words, it is called German measles. If this infection occurs during the first trimester of your pregnancy, and especially within the first 10 weeks, then there is a very high chance of you or your baby, no, of your baby having deafness, blindness, heart defects, and many other defects. So we like to test for this, rubella infection before you get pregnant. And if we find that you do not have the immunity, then we of course give you a vaccination so that you are safe. This infection does not trouble you during pregnancy. The only thing is that once you have taken this vaccination, you should avoid pregnancy for a month. So to reduce birth defects, you can understand how important it is to see a doctor earlier as well. Then during pregnancy, your diet, and in the early part of the pregnancy, before the pregnancy, your diet should be ideal, or go and meet a dietitian, so that all the deficiencies, people have very, fads. Somebody says that I only eat this, I only eat that. I tell them, if they come to me, that if you're not going to make a change in the diet, then I'm not going to get right there that, okay, go ahead and get pregnant. Because if even a very common day example, even a farmer prepares his field, even your own mali who comes to your place, he prepares his own, the gamla and before he actually puts a plant in it. And here we are putting a human plant without any preparation. So you must understand the importance of preconceptual care as well. And diet and investigations play a very, very important role there. Now, when you are pregnant, this diet that you should have already got into the habit of should supply the needed nutrients for the baby's growth. It should ensure a healthy birth weight. Too heavy is also not good. Too light is also not good. And you should be able to maintain a healthy weight. Next slide, please. What are the energy needs during pregnancy in normal women? In the first trimester, 0 kilocalories. You don't need extra calories at all. Second trimester, about 350 kilocalories. And it is in the third trimester that you need more energies. Your energy levels are higher. Because the baby is bigger, your the requirements and development, etc., you require more energy. So quite often women ask us when they are pregnant and they come for the second visit, she has not put on any weight. In fact, I say that, okay, it's a good thing that they have not put on any weight. Because if you start putting on weight now, then you are going to end up with you being overweight during pregnancy and lead to increased chances of your developing diabetes of pregnancy, high blood pressure of pregnancy, and obesity in the mother in itself is a risk, very high risk factor for many conditions. So in the first trimester, you don't require any extra calories. Eating a normal healthy diet is sufficient. Even if you have lost weight, if you have had vomiting, etc., doesn't matter. You can lose some weight. You can lose some weight during pregnancy in the early parts, but don't get worried. However, you should always consult your doctor so that the doctor can make sure that you and your health or the baby's growth is not suffering in any way. Now, the other thing is, because as I already mentioned, that everybody has a different diet and a different body size, and therefore we have to individualize things. There cannot be a one flat thing. I cannot give the same diet sheet to everybody concerned. That, okay, this is your diet and this is what you should follow. We have to see there is an average kind of diet and there is one which are for specific conditions also. So Appropriate weight gain, if you're getting appropriate weight gain, is sufficient. But sometimes if your diet is wrong, you can still put on weight, and that can lead to problems. Next slide, please. So what is the recommended weight gain that you should have in pregnancy? So underweight, if your weight is 12 to 21, you're less than 21, however it's very unlikely, that means you're very, very thin. A normal weight gain 12 to 21 is weight that you should put. Normal weight 11 to 15 kg. Weight gain during pregnancy, we are talking about that. 21 is a misprint up there, so don't include that. Overweight, if you have been overweight, then you should only put on 7 to 11 kg. If you're underweight, we may allow you to put on 12 to, not 21 but less kg. But if you have a normal weight, you should not put on more than 11 to 15 kg. Overweight, and if you're obese, then not more than 7 kg. So you can understand that it is dependent on the individual patient as to how much weight gain we should allow. Everybody should not talk about that I should put on, somebody said that I should put on 12 kg. I have not put on 12 kg. No, but if you're obese, you're not allowed to put on that much weight. Next slide, please. So when a woman puts on weight during pregnancy, how is the weight gain distributed? Let's take for an average, the baby weight is 3.4 kg. Your breasts also increase in size because you are going to be hopefully breastfeeding. They make up about 0.9 kg. Maternal stores that you also put in fat, it is deposited in certain parts of your body, that accounts for about 3.17 kg. The placenta of the baby, and this is, I'm talking about term, I'm not talking about early pregnancy, at full term. The placental weight is about 1 kg, 0.68 to 1 kg. The uterus is also increased in size, and therefore there is some weight put on there also, which is about 0.9 kg. The fluid around the baby, that also weighs about 0.9 kg. The blood, amount of blood in your body increases because you have to extra supply to the baby, etc. also. So the blood weight increases by about 1.8 kg, and the rest of the body fluids also increase, which accounts for about 1.8 kg. So this is how the weight gain is distributed in various parts. All the extra weight that you are going to put on is upon the fat that you put on. You cannot increase the size of your breast beyond it unless you put on a lot of fat. You cannot increase the size of the placenta, the uterus, the amniotic fluid, or the blood amount, or the body fluids. The only extra weight gain is on the, and not only protein, fat, more so fat. Next slide, please. Now, if there is malnutrition during pregnant women, now when I talk about malnutrition, it does not mean that you're not getting adequate diet. Overeating also has its own risk factors. You can have IUGR, intrauterine growth restriction. That means the baby is not growing properly and its blood supply to the baby is affected. The weight of the baby is not increasing satisfactorily, and the baby then can be delivered prematurely. It can happen by itself, which is quite common if your diabetes is out of control, or sometimes we may have to deliver the baby prematurely because there are risk factors to the baby and mother if the pregnancy is allowed to continue. Then your immune system is affected. Even otherwise during pregnancy, the immune system is affected and it is in a suppressed stage, and therefore one is more prone to catch infections. Therefore, I tell all my patients that please don't go visiting sick people. Please don't keep traveling here and there and go to crowded places. You never know. I think Corona has taught everybody a good lesson, that if you want to avoid infection, safe distancing is a very important factor. Then malnutrition can lead to birth defects. Cretinism, that is, cretinism is most commonly caused because there is a thyroid abnormality. The growth is affected. The baby is mentally optimal. There can be brain damage, and there can be increased risk of the babies dying during the pregnancy, during labor, delivery, and even in early pregnancy. And as the baby is growing, because the immune system and everything, you are after all going to pass on all the healthy parts or healthy issues and immune systems to the baby. But if you yourself are compromised, then what are you going to pass on to the baby? So the baby becomes increasingly at risk. Next slide, please. So altogether, this is just one slide I will refer to. If you want to stay healthy in pregnancy, topmost I have put down diet, how you work, how much rest you get, what exercises are required or not required, and marital relations. These are the factors which we normally address if you want to keep you healthy during pregnancy. Next slide, please. Now we come to the what you are all waiting to hear. Your diet in pregnancy, labor, and during breastfeeding. This is a very long chapter. We'll stick to your diet in pregnancy. And it should contain everything. Next slide, please. Don't eat for two is the first thing. People somehow when they get pregnant, they eat more because now you have somebody else within Just take a well balanced diet. We've just told you that in the first trimester of pregnancy, your requirement is 0 kilocal extra requirement. So you don't need, you just eat a balanced diet. Get into the correct habits. Next slide, please. Weight gain we have already discussed, so we will not repeat it. Next slide, please. Dietary requirements during pregnancy, we all know that. You probably read it in school also. Forget about pregnancy, any individual, that these are the dietary requirements. You require protein, you require carbohydrate, you require fat, vitamins, minerals, and small elements which you are required for the proper functioning of the chemical and the biochemical reactions in the body. Next slide, please. Now, when we look at diet, this was a chart which used to be, very popular, where they said carbohydrates you need for energy, lesser amount of proteins, lesser amount of fats, and very small amount of vitamins and trace elements. This is what an average diet should be like. Next slide, please. Now you can see this picture. Why it is important for you? Can you understand what all of these are suffering from? They all have neural tube defects. That means there is a defect in the development of the spine. And as a result, the spinal cord carries all the nerves which are spread to the whole body. And therefore, if there is a defect, then you can have babies which do not develop properly. And they can have, even if they otherwise they may be normal, they may not be walking properly. Their legs may not work. They may not have control on passing urine and stool. And therefore, and this is all caused by the deficiency of a very simple vitamin, which is folic acid. And therefore, we advise people who are trying to get pregnant or planning a pregnancy, they should start taking folic acid even before they are pregnant, so that there is no deficiency. Next slide, please. Now, foods naturally high in folic acid. You don't have to be a non-vegetarian because the liver is written there. It is just the way it has been drawn. Therefore, this is a ready-made picture. Nuts and peanut butter. Peanut is very high in omega fatty acids also. So you must take nuts, dried peas or beans. What does that mean? It means simply dal, cereals. And people, I find these days, they just say dal is not tasty. Many of the young, girls who are coming with pregnancy, they say, no, dal I don't like. But they are quite all right eating burgers and pizza, etc., which have zero nutritional value. So you are only harming your baby. It's your baby, and you will have to put up with, bringing up the baby in whichever condition you deliver. So the responsibility of whether you have a healthy outcome to a large part depends on you as well. It does not depend only on the doctor. The doctor can advise. You don't follow, that's your choice. So it is important. Nuts and peanut butter. People have queries. Can I eat nuts? कोई बोलते हैं गरम है, कोई ठंडा है, कोई बोलता है पपीता मत खाओ, कोई ये मत खाओ. Believe me, you can take everything only in moderation. अगर नट्स खा रहे हैं तो ये भी नहीं कि सारा दिन हम नट्स ही खा रहे हैं और हम बाकी कुछ खाना खा ही नहीं रहे हैं. अगर हम दालें खा रहे हैं तो सिर्फ दालें खा रहे हैं, सब्जियों वगैरह भूल गए, दूध वगैरह भूल गए. सो यू मस्ट, एंड आई टेल यू दिस इज समथिंग वेरी encouraging. I personally think that, and even some people, nutritionists have come out with it, that the healthiest diet is an Indian thali. Why? Because it has all kinds of carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates. It has dal, it has protein, it has yogurt, it has vegetables, and various formulations of yogurt, various tastes. Now, tastes also affect the nutrition. They may contain vitamin C, they may contain other vitamins. You must remember that no one ingredient contains all the nutrients. And therefore, traditionally we were told that you should eat this dal on a Monday and this dal on a Tuesday, or you must have moong dal on a Wednesday and chane ki dal on a Thursday, and so on and so forth, and urad ki dal on a Saturday, and mixed dal on certain days. Why? Because no dal contains all the nutrients. But if it was put into the form of a religion, that you must do this on certain days, it was basically to ensure that the individuals ate a healthy diet. Similarly, juices. Now, juices I do not really recommend unless you can take it. Juices are to be taken by people whose intestines are not working properly. But if you're drinking properly, I think you should eat the fruit, because you will also get the fiber. When you're taking juices, you've missed out on the fiber, which can, keep your gut healthy and give you a regular bowel motion. If you don't have a regular bowel motion, then can you imagine your intestines are always going to be clogged up? So whatever food you eat after that will not be absorbed properly. So it is important that you empty your bowels, and therefore don't concentrate on juices. You must concentrate on the fruit itself. Fruits, you can have any seasonal fruit. And of course, green leafy vegetables are very, very important. Next slide, please. So folic acid, what we give you, in the prescription, it is the synthetic form of a water-soluble vitamin B. And what does it help? Why is it important? And why does it cause its deficiency cause defects? Because it is very important in formation of new cells and in cell division. It makes normal kind of red blood cells. Otherwise, you can have abnormal shapes of red blood cells. It helps in preventing anemia, helps prevent birth defects, and also helps prevent heart disease, stroke, and even certain cancers in the long run. So folic acid is also very, very important. This importance cannot be, and therefore all prescriptions immediately start carry folic acid. And I think the message has gone across to the public as well. And if not, then you must spread this, that please start taking folic acid whenever you start thinking of having a pregnancy. Next slide, please. Who needs folic acid? All women aged 14 to 15 naturally, who could become pregnant women, of course, but not only that, in everyone, including men, because they also have cell division, they also can have stroke, etc. So this is just an added thing which I have added. It's not that men don't require folic acid. Their cell division, when the sperms are developing, their cell division is also occurring, and therefore they would also benefit by taking folic acid. Next slide, please. Iron is another thing. There are three things that people mostly have come to know, that is folic acid, iron, and calcium. Now let's talk about iron deficiency. It is one of the top most serious problems of the modern world. And why is it important? You must understand the importance. That is that those children who have iron deficiency, they are pale and weak, of course. They eat less, very finicky. They irritable and tire easily. हमेशा चिड़चिड़े से बने रहते हैं और वो जल्दी थक जाते हैं, कोई एनर्जी नहीं रहती है कुछ करने के लिए. And as they are developing, they have shorter attention spans. So that means कि जो attention deficit disorder हो रहा है वो भी हो सकता है उनको. They fall ill more frequently and they fail to grow normally. These are because of the iron deficiency. And I'm not talking about iron deficiency once they are born and you're giving them iron. I'm talking about iron deficiency during pregnancy. Now, if the mother herself is anemic, why do we stress so much about, and avoid anemia, take iron, and look after your diet? Is because if the mother is anemic, then she does not have sufficient iron to pass on to the developing baby inside her womb, inside her uterus. So the baby becomes chronically iron deficient. And such babies, when they are born, they can end up with all these problems. And you may keep going to the doctor, but then plant जो शुरू में उसमें ताकत आ गई, वो आगे भी काम आती है. आपने कोई पौधा भी लगाया हुआ शुरू में ही कमज़ोर सा है, तो कितनी खाद डाल करके आप उसको पूरा स्ट्रॉन्ग कर दीजिएगा. But nature is wonderful. Yes, it does make a difference. People do improve. It's not that I'm giving you a very bad picture. But do not say that I cannot. If you cannot tolerate iron, that may be a factor, then tell your doctor so that you're not anemic, and we then can give you supplements in different ways. We can give you injectables, we can give you a liquid form so that you are able to absorb, and we can have your iron deficiency is taken care of. Next slide, please. We will not go into these are the requirements of the iron. Next slide, please. Now, healthy eating pyramid. I think this is important. And the biggest thing that you have to see, there is a paradigm shift. What is the most important thing these days? Daily exercise and weight control. Because people are generally becoming obese and their diet is not under control. Then we come to whole grain oils, plant oils, and isme ghee and seed oils are the healthy ones. Vegetables in abundance, fruits 2 to 3 times a day, then nuts and cereals and dal, etc. Fish, poultry, eggs, etc. Those who are to take these things, if you don't, doesn't matter. Nuts, legumes, etc. and vegetables will take care of that. And dairy, calcium or supplements you have to take for twice a day. Butter and red meat, the butter, the ready-made butter that you get maybe should be avoided. White rice, etc. These potatoes and rice, etc. or pasta, sweets, these should be reduced. You should take multivitamins and avoid alcohol. But if you do take it, please only sparingly and once in a while maybe. Next slide, please. So, one thing, as I told you right at the beginning, that there's no point having a regular, a one standard diet for all. Every household has a different eating method. Every household has different eating habits. And therefore, we say that, okay, whatever you're eating, you just make some modifications so that your diet becomes healthy. And how does the diet become healthy? There are several steps involved. Proper planning of what you're going to be eating. And if you do not understand, you can see a dietitian and or you can ask your doctor. Proper selection of food items. If you go on a hungry stomach to the market, then you want to eat all those things which look tasty but have no nutritional value. So, and then you can come back with a whole bag full of eateries and which are not nutritious. So, proper selection of food items is important. Then thereafter comes the right method of preparation of food and proper storage of food and eating sensibly and on time. Can you show me the next slide, please? Okay. So first we come to proper planning and selection of food. First, identify and classify your food items in conjunction with a dietitian or with your doctor. Ones with a high nutritional value and ones with a low nutritional value. And then you can concentrate on having a bigger part of the nutritional diet, and in case you do want to take the non-nutritional ones but you like the taste, then occasionally you can take that. But when you become conscious of what you should be eating and you should not be eating, then you automatically become more careful. So the first thing is to understand. Okay, so when you have a proper selection of food, nutritional value, for example, I have already shown you the chart. That is important. You must have a few things. You must have protein. So dal, cereals, etc. are important. You must have carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are better. But you can't, I'm not saying don't take rice at all. Fruits you must take, and you can take all kinds of fruit, even during the which are seasonal. Don't overdo taking one fruit. People ask us about papita, and we say, okay, you can take papita. Some people get constipated without it. But it's not that you're going to eat papita the whole day. For any of these natural foods to have any kind of bad effects or anything, papita by and large, people have it. Most of my patients have it. I don't stop it. It does not lead to miscarriages. Miscarriages have another, pathology behind it. But if that makes you happy and if there is peace in the family by you're not eating papita, be it. You can do that. That everybody in the family is saying to. Next slide, please. So these are the various items of food that you can take and you must take them. Next slide, please. Right method of preparation of food is very important. Otherwise, whatever food that you take, it will lose its nutritional value. Number one, keep your work surfaces and utensils clean, because you can have bacteria in them. Rinse them, clean. Wash hands, especially after handling pets. Wash and clean food. So the food has to be washed and cleaned. Here I would like to make a few points that when you are cutting vegetables, etc., and especially saag, people say saag ka soup pee rahe hai roj, fir bhi hemoglobin nahi badh raha hai. You see, many people, they get this person, the sabzi wala, to cut the vegetable, the saag, and then you bring it home and you wash it, and after washing it, you cook it. Well, in washing the cut saag, you have already lost all the nutrients. So, all you're getting some green color and maybe some residual nutrients, you're not getting all the nutrition. So, all the vegetables should be properly and thoroughly cleaned before you cut them. And after you cut them, then they should be cooked directly. You should not have to wash them again. Avoid raw and undercooked food. This does not apply in India, but in the West, because they used to take non-veg, which is hard, half-cooked, etc. But therefore, I would avoid those people who take non-vegetarian. Eating out, you can develop certain infections which are transmitted through food and lead to abnormal development of the baby. So it is very important that you should, why I say avoid eating out. You cannot control all the eateries out there, that whether have you cooked it properly? Is it thoroughly cooked? How long has it been there? You can't do that. So the best thing is stay safe. Wash vegetables before cutting, as I also said. Steaming and pressure cooking is healthy, and frying is not healthy. Now, if you have to fry, then it is something like the light frying, what you call saute. You can do that because you not get enough chance for it to, the whole thing to evaporate and lose all the nutrients. If you have to use potatoes in your diet, then cook potatoes with their skin on. You see, the uncooked potato, the skin is very thick, but when you have boiled it, then it becomes thin and you can peel it off easily, because maximum nutrition of the potato lies under the skin. When you boil it, that enters the potatoes, and therefore that boiled potato is more nutritious than a uncooked one. Fat and spices, use them sparingly. You can use them because the spices have their own nutritional and medicinal value. Haldi, for example, boosts your immune system and helps to fight infection. It has an antibiotic-like properties. Therefore, if you notice again, the Indian kitchen is literally a pharmacy. You take this, digestion theek nahi hai, take jeera. You add ajwain and mangarella, etc. to the puris because that is heavy to digest. So you have added this, which will help in the digestion. So you have to choose. That is why the older people were very particular कि ये बना रहे हो तो इसमें ये मसाला डाल दो, ये बना रहे हो तो इसका, बिकॉज ये सब चीज़ें एक दूसरे का जो उसके बैड इफेक्ट्स थे उसको काटने के लिए वो मसाले पड़ते थे. And avoid frying as far as possible. Next slide, please. Proper storage of food is very important. Do not leave food standing at room temperature for long, especially in the summer. Use the refrigerator, and if you have to, use the refrigerator, put it in a vessel which heats and cools very quickly. Because if it is not getting cold very quickly and it remains warm, then in the meantime it gives back a time for bacteria to multiply. So you said कि हमने कहीं बाहर खाना नहीं खाया था पर हमको इन्फेक्शन हो गया, food poisoning. It can be because the food has been heated, rewarmed, kept in a donga, and that is not cool easily, and put in the fridge, then brought out again, then heated again. You are doing several wrong things when you do that, because each time you warm only as much as you are going to eat. Repeated warming and cooling promotes the growth of bacteria, and also it kills the nutritional value or reduces the nutritional value of the food item. If you have to store meat, etc., then please put it in another plate and store and cover it properly, because it can contaminate the food with all its juices, etc. So it is usually stored in the bottom shelf, but then that's individual houses have their own prep. Next slide, please. Eat sensibly and on time. So avoid sweets, tea, coffee, cola drinks, alcohol, smoking. Cola drinks, alcohol, smoking, totally to be avoided. Tea and coffee, the occasional one, you can take. Sweets to be avoided. So you have to be very selective when you have to take these things. There was this patient who came who says that during pregnancy I ate a lot of sweets and then she had a miscarriage. Because people didn't realize that she was eating so many sweets, she developed diabetes of pregnancy and it led to a premature labor. So you can, these little things which you think are harmless, people are talking only about enjoying your pregnancy, have fun, it gives you the freedom to do anything. Please look at it with a different perspective. It is a project that you have in hand. and you're going to deliver a baby, a human being who has a whole life to lead. And if you do not take care during your pregnancy, and because of your habits, and you're saying, or indulgences, you lead to problems, then who will suffer? The baby and you. So it is very, very important that you should be very careful. When you have to give an exam, I ask my patients, when they say, oh, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat this, I said, when you give an exam, do you ask your teacher, I don't want to study this, I don't want to study that, because I don't like it, and you won't get a question from that page. Doesn't happen like that. In the same way, you like it or you don't like it, what has to be done has to be done. Otherwise, you may end up regretting the whole thing. And it's only a question of a few months. It's not a lifetime. I'm sure you can probably, all of you, follow that. Next slide, please. You must take care that you avoid infection. Avoid contact with sick people, avoid infection from food and milk, cheese, eggs, seafood, eating out, cat, sheep, etc. in the garden, having dogs. All these can lead to infection, which can harm the developing baby in your uterus. So you must have clean habits. Trim your nails so that there's no dirt accumulating there. Next slide, please. How to make your existing diet healthy. For example, if you can take only one chapati, you don't feel hungry, well, make it into a sort of a little stuffed roti. You can add paneer, you can add dal, you can add saag, etc. So many things you can add. So you've taken one roti, but you're getting more nutrition. You may not feel like cooking all the time, so you can prepare in advance. When you do feel like cooking, cook a larger amount, put it in the fridge, and take out a small amount, and you can always thaw it and then eat it. For every food you can add besan or soya flour. You have automatically added protein, and you've got the nutrition as well. Use fillings of nutritive substances. Fillings, I don't mean add only chini, etc. Take your multivitamins. Sprouts are a very good form of nutrition. They give you vitamins, proteins, calcium, etc. So many things. The poor small little til, which you talk, the sesame seeds. People talk, what is it? This is chota sa. It's packed with vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids. Use fresh chutneys instead of sauces, and purified water inside and outside the home. Next slide, please. And again we come back. So staying healthy in pregnancy: diet, rest, relaxation, exercises, marital relations. All those are important. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. No, the previous one. So the relaxation, and why is it important? Because you need your circulation to keep going. The pregnant women, blood becomes thicker and can clot very easily, which can lead to complications. And therefore we say physical activity is required so that your circulation is active and going. You can exercise whenever you have a free time, where you're not disturbed that each time you're running to the doorbell in an awkward position. Clothing should be comfortable, and there are many types of exercises and relaxation when you can do. When to avoid exercises, I'm sure your doctor will tell you if there are conditions. Otherwise, stay active. It is a good thing for you and your pregnancy. Next slide, please. Walking, if nothing else you can do, you can at least walk. And can you see the difference in the posture? This is what the posture you should maintain. Not slouch forwards or protrude your tummy, because both of them can lead to abnormal backaches, etc. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Instead of telling you eat this or you don't eat this, I've just outlined so that your existing diet, whatever you're eating, you can modify and make it healthy. I hope probably you have gained something from it, and you can be your best dietitians.
Thank you, Dr. Basu, for such an elaborate, descriptive, and practical, and simple. That holds true for everybody. You have touched all the aspects of healthy eating, healthy preparation. I think everybody will take a lesson from what you have taught. These are very simple and practical aspects.
Hmm.
And we have a few questions in the chat box. So,
I think,
we have written.
okay, here I think there was one question which I can read.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
jackfruit is allowed in pregnancy or not? You see, uh, jackfruit in itself is considered a very good, nutritious food. And the bottom line of your diet in pregnancy should be everything should be taken in small amounts. If we talk about jackfruit, then I don't say you take jackfruit throughout the pregnancy and you must have it every day, 3 times a day. Any of the bad effects will manifest themselves if you overdo anything. So people, but there are two aspects to it. As I said earlier, there are many things in medical science that we don't know. Probably today I may say that okay, jackfruit is safe in pregnancy, and people at home are saying no, no, don't take jackfruit unless you are so desperate that you must take jackfruit, otherwise it will be the end of you. I think two for the one for the favor, save peace in the family. You can take a little bit if you like it so much. It's not going to harm you, and therefore that is what you should regard. But tomorrow we might turn around and say no, jackfruit may lead to this. All these studies, they are very longitudinal. Folic acid, it took us so many years and years before we could realize that it was folic acid which was the cause behind all these neural tube defects. So science is ever evolving. As of now, as we know, you can take jackfruit in small amounts. Is it necessary for GDM to avoid banana, mango, good dates? Okay. Now, this is a question which does not have a simple answer of yes and no. I'm very strict with my patients who have diabetes, and they are supposed to monitor their blood sugar. When you say GDM, that means you actually have gestational diabetes. One is impaired glucose tolerance, where if you eat sweets, then your sugar goes out of control. Otherwise, in either case, I ask them to maintain a chart, and no value after meals should be more than 140, and no value in the fasting value should be more than 95. If you are able to maintain this kind of level consistently, then on the occasions, sometimes you can have a banana, you can have a bit of a mango, you can have a gur or date. Eat it and monitor. If you find taking that is sending your blood sugar haywire, then don't take it. So monitoring and then deciding whether you can take it is better. When patients come to me with their chart, they've turned so smart. Within 2-3 weeks they will tell me कि वो देखिए मेरा ये थोड़ा सा बढ़ गया था ना, इस दिन मैंने वॉक भी नहीं की थी, और इस दिन मैंने थोड़ा सा ना रसगुल्ले खा लिए थे जरा ज़्यादा. They themselves are aware. So I think you have to become your own doctor in monitoring and managing your blood sugar. So there's no blanket rule saying whether you can take good, but definitely sugar se better to good. It has minerals and nutrients also, and it contains iron. So if you have to take it, and if you are taking it, avoid sugar in all its forms. You can take a bit of good, but keep your blood sugar under control. That is the bottom line. There was another thing about this papaya. That raw papaya, there's this article that they have given, unripe papaya can cause uterine contractions. I'm sure none of you are taking unripe papaya. We are talking about the fruit papaya which has become ripe. We are not talking about seeds, because in the traditional times, people were given papaya seeds as an abortifacient. And when we talk, you're not going to concentrate on the papaya. So just the few odd pieces of papaya are not going to cause anything. However, we cannot isolate and say that if you had a uterine contraction, it was only because of that. You may have urinary tract infection. You may have a GI infection. You may have a tendency in your previous pregnancy. You had preterm labor. There are so many factors which can lead to, uterine contractions. And therefore, we must be very careful about all this.
Is
Anything
it
else?
okay to have raw vegetable salad?
Vegetable salad, please don't eat it when you are going out. Because the important thing about vegetable salad is that it must be washed thoroughly. Otherwise, there are many cysts and ova, etc., whereby you can get worm infestation. Some of them, cysticercosis, can even travel to the brain. So the salad, has to be managed very, very carefully. And you can make, of course, you can take salad. It's not that you cannot take salad, but the only thing is the hygiene and the cleanliness is very, very important. But don't live on salad only. Thank you all. I think that's all probably.